now. So welcome to the third level behind the scenes panel with the current cohort of third level priestesses who are approaching the end of their training. They're in term 4 of a nearly year-long program. And this is an evening which we've never done before. And I'm very, very grateful that these women have been so willing to share their time with all of us, those who are considering the third level, those who are in the third level and just want to hear more. And just giving yourself an opportunity to, I guess, really make a choice, not based on just what I say, because of course, you know, I'm fairly fond of this program, but to hear from the women who are maybe your peers. There may be people that you just see online. You may never have heard of any of them before, but it's an opportunity to hear from them about their own experiences. And as I said, none of them have heard the questions that I have lined up for them. I really just wanted to, whenever I'm being interviewed, I far prefer it if the questions are just kind of come at me in the moment. And we also have some beautiful priestesses who haven't necessarily officially nominated themselves to speak tonight, but as I say, please don't hesitate. So what I'll do is we have 4 key questions, and then I would like for any of the women who are here listening and do have questions, feel free to add them at any time into the chat box, because I can put them to our priestesses. And basically with each question, let's just see if there's 2 or so women who would like to respond to these questions, so that we can make sure that we run to time, but also so that there's an opportunity for everyone who would like to speak. As I said this evening as well, there is a special bonus for any of the third level potential priestesses who are considering this path. So please don't let me forget, I am juice cleansing. Please everyone remember that. If I suddenly fall off my chair, Verity is our new MC. Oh no, Gabrielle. I made a plan with Gabrielle earlier today. She wasn't sure she was going to be here, but she is here. If I disappear into hypoglycemic psychosis or something, someone else will just take over. I'm actually doing really well. But yes, I promise you I'll keep it together, at least for the duration of this conversation. So let's kick off. I will just invite you to self-nominate, so you can just turn on your mics, and we have our official priestesses here this evening: Lisa, Verity, Shana, Beck, Kelly, Geeta and Rachel. But as I said, we've got a lovely group here of unofficial priestesses, so I'm not going to ask you to not speak. I would much prefer that if you feel like you've got a response that you share it. And of course, we want to be thinking about how to make Ricci sound really good. No, that's not at all what the focus is. We want to be thinking about how to share information that's going to help other women make this really, really big and significant choice. And that's my first question. So I'm going to put it on to speaker view so whoever's speaking can be seen. And my first question for whoever wants to answer it is, what inspired you to choose to take this path? What made you go, yes, I need to spend a year training as a contemporary priestess, a spiritual leader, and refining my intuitive powers? So anyone who wants to jump into that, what brought you to this place where you knew this was the best place for you to be?
I'm happy to jump in first on that one. For me, I had been in a very, very dark place, and I had come across your level 1 and 2 workshop. And at that time, I was coming out of a very suicidal period. And for me, when I came into that workshop, it busted my heart right open. And I knew that pretty much every word was just so aligned with everything that I had felt and believed in the past. And when I had that opportunity to sit down with you and talk about the third level, I knew that it was something that it was beyond any fear of missing out. It was something that was clearly the answer for me to end this process of suffering despite whatever physical ailment was present in my life. And for me, that process was, it was just an absolute full body yes to say, this is, my path of being able to refine my ability, but also to commit to myself in a very structured, supported and scaffolded way.
Jema. Oh, and haven't you done just that, my darling? Like, you are just, you know, that your energy where you are now is so refined, so magnificent. And I bow to you for what you have created in this time. Thank you for your beautiful words. And yeah, that workshop was quite intense, that one. That was quite glorious. So who else would love to jump in and offer their reason, their perspective for what brought them to this place that made you feel like this was the right choice for you?
I'm really happy to. Oops, sorry, Kat.
No, it's good. We'll go Lisa, then Verity, then Geeta, because it's a good question. So we'll go. Yeah, Lisa, Verity, Geeta. Oh, Lisa, you're muted. Hold on.
Okay. All right. Rachel, I have to say you are absolutely glowing, my darling. I just shining. I'm amazed. So beautiful. I have to say there is a blur as to how I ended up at the very first workshop in Perth with Ricci-Jane. I ended up in this beautiful woman's house in Perth sitting in this amazing circle with these amazing women, and sitting there thinking, I am here. And now I try and think back and I still am not really sure how I found out about it, which just tells me that I followed whatever it was I was meant to follow and ended up there. And then from very early on in the piece, took challenges that were presented to me to honour myself in a way I hadn't for such a very, very long time. And each step of the way, that is just how it's been. Every offer I've been made through this process, it's just been a yes. And it's every time I've said yes, I've just been able to take the next step up and the next step up. And as Rachel described, when your heart is blown open like it is, there is just no choice but to continue to follow that feeling of bliss. You know, it's not all bliss. We all know we go through freaking massive challenges, but once you've done it once or twice, the feeling on the other side of that, you know it's worth going through for more. And that's what it was from the very first big challenge I took in taking myself right across to Queensland to attend a one-day workshop, leaving my whole family behind for the very first time in ever, and came back a different person and haven't looked back.
Jema, yes, and absolutely exactly the same as Rachel. Look how far you've come, my darling, and look how much freedom and spiritual adventure your life now represents. So thank you. You'll get to talk about what's the hardest part. I've given away one of the questions, but you can talk more about that. So Verity, did you want to jump in with your response?
Yeah, mine was quite interesting because I had probably spent a good 6 months or a year before trying to find the right mentor that I wanted. And I knew it had to incorporate my business on some level, but I knew wholeheartedly it had to be spiritual. There had to be a basis in spirituality. And I interviewed so many business coaches. There's probably nothing more overwhelming than putting up a post in a business group of thousands of people asking to interview business coaches. And just, you know, some of them I started working with, but I just kept saying no. And I think when our paths crossed, and it happened in a really beautiful way, where I won the initial retreat in Denmark, and I had no idea what third level was at that point, but I remember sitting in this room and just taking this moment of stepping back and kind of realizing I was surrounded by my people. And I think even just everyone being cross-legged, sitting on chairs, which I've always been teased for my whole entire life, and there was a room of like 33 women sitting cross-legged on chairs, and just something was so compelling. I had to know more about it, and, you know, speaking to various women about it, and having this belief, or this, I don't know, the fears or something in the back of my head, just saying no, not doing this, not doing this, not doing this, not doing this. And after the retreat, that just wouldn't leave me alone. Like, no just was not the right answer, because it wouldn't stop haunting me, this idea of doing third level. And I literally felt, it's one of those things, like, if you try and live that experience of the no, and if it's still sort of attacking you and nipping you sort of the back of the head, no wasn't the right decision. So for me, I just felt, one, there was no choice but to say yes, but also that it was time. Being in the position that I was, and having sat in that fear of that workshop and being in tears that I couldn't even afford my children vests and all these crazy things that were going on, and having to face my own bullshit and having to take that chance, jumping off that precipice of, do you want change or not? It was really a simple answer. There was only one answer, that was yes.
Oh, Mike, that's such a glorious answer. And once again, it's such a lovely thing to reflect back on where this started, because it is so, you have just moved completely from that victim archetype and the number of ways that you've had to do that this year, but to be now at this place where you are in such authority of your life is just so glorious to see. And I love that you mentioned the fact that, I didn't know you were interviewing business coaches. I don't advertise myself as a business coach, but I think you and I have actually spent, oh, sorry, Rufus is losing his mind. You and I, that's my dog, by the way. In case
Not a small child.
Not a small child. You and I have actually spent quite a lot of time doing spiritual business mentoring and have seen great things happen for you in that way. And that is definitely part of it, even though I don't put that up front. I don't want to attract women who are just looking for a business coach. When you meet your fear in any way and become congruent with the law, everything flows. And I think that's a great point to make. So thank you for sharing that and your beautiful words. Okay, Geeta, would you like to share your response to the question? What inspired you to arrive at this moment and join this training?
Well, I can only say, it was timing, like location. It was timing. I had been looking, to further, I guess, my spiritual leanings and teachings, but never could find the right person. And, I think 10, 15 years later, I came across you and I thought, Institute of Intuitive Intelligence, what the hell is that about? I found your mobile number and I left a message and I thought, nah, she's never going to reply. And you called me back and I was getting my ankles strapped at the physiotherapist trying to answer you. And I thought, oh God, timing. But we then had a chat and interview and I just felt very comfortable. And I flew down to Melbourne for the workshop the year before. And I thought, now she has to move to Sydney, and Ricci eventually did. But I will say to you that to me, it just connected a lot of dots. I was at a stage of my life, I run a corporate business, but I just wanted to connect everything that I was feeling, but didn't just know how to connect it. And this course has actually shown me how. Through the tools, how to live and walk through a lot of the fear, that I've had. And you talk about fear and love, and it actually works. It is about love, and it's walking through that. And I get it. I now get it. And you will all learn to love this word, surrender. I mean, it's my favorite word. I mean, if you'd said to me 3 years ago, I would have said, bugger off, go away. But it's connecting everything beautifully. And I personally think it has changed my heart in lots of ways. I can't even explain it, but I believe I've opened out a lot more to who I am and to who I believe I can be, if that makes sense.
Yes, that's beautiful, Geeta. And I'm so honoured to hear that, because you are so magnificent to me. And it's been such an honour since that first phone call, if anyone spent time with Geeta, you'll know what a privilege it is to be with such a unique and powerful woman. And I've been charmed by you from the moment that you came into my life. And yes, your words are beautiful. And you beautifully answered the next question, which is what is the most significant change in your life since commencing the program? So I want to open it up to someone who hasn't spoken yet and ask you, what's the most significant change in your life as a result of this program? And let's see, maybe who hasn't spoken yet, Beck or Kelly, if you have something, or Shana, that you'd like to say to that.
Can I jump in? I've unmuted myself, so I'm just going to jump in.
Do it.
The biggest change is presence seeping into my daily life easily, and because of that, everything in the external world changed, and happiness, surrender and presence comes very easily now. And I can know when I'm playing the victim or the saboteur or the prostitute or the child, and I can deal with it there and then. And it doesn't, I'm not attached to any stories anymore.
Jema. Oh, I love that. It's freedom. I mean, what you're describing to me feels like freedom. And looking at you there tonight as well, I have to say that it seems to be scientifically verifiable that everyone gets hotter and younger doing as well.
Lighting.
I don't think so. I think it's telomeres. I think it's yeah. And just in case you're not aware, Jema, which we say a lot, we do a lot of this and a lot of celebrating when our sisters share their victories. It literally means victory to the mother. And if you're not familiar with it now, you will be after a year. It's a way of sort of acknowledging the overcoming of fear. So I love what you're sharing, dear one. So Shana or who else, Beck, do you want to respond to that? What's the most significant change since starting the program? You don't have to, but if you feel like jumping in, I'd love to hear from you.
I can jump in.
Hello, dear one.
Hello. Well, since the program, liberation. I just reflect back to our first phone call when you interviewed me for the third level, and I could barely get my story out there. Basically, I could barely speak about the experience that I had without shaking and having my whole body shake and without getting quite emotional and stuff. And actually, within a short space of time, that has completely left me. And now I feel like, even though I know I've had all those experiences in my life, I feel like this has always been me. Always. I've always been the liberated one. I've always had the freedom. I've always had the stillness and the presence and, and the worth. It just feels like I've just stepped into my normalness.
Yeah. Yes. I love that. Love the haircut as well. It's looking so good.
Thank you.
Oh yeah, I think your words are so powerful because it is the intention of the program that I cannot do anything for you. I'm not giving you anything. I'm not giving you intuitive power. I'm not giving you peace. I'm not giving you anything. You are given an offer to meet your fear of what you are and to wed yourself to it. And so, as you say, what's happened is you've just met yourself at that level, and it's such a, I mean, that's it, that's music to my ears. So thank you. Beck, did you want to add anything about the most significant change for you?
Yeah, look, I could
I'm not imagining it.
Hi. I could segue off from Shana and say that stepping into the absolute truth of who I am with such confidence and clarity, even just that general conversation, there'd be the shakes, there'd be the unworthiness, the not holding that value. And now there is no change to who I am behind doors, to who I am at work, to who I am meditating, to who I am doing yoga. that truth of myself, that consolidation of all of me, unfuckwithable, right here,
Ooh.
right now.
Yes.
Do it.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Such a good word. I wonder if we can put that all over. We'll get that on t-shirts. Yeah. And I love what you're saying there as well, because it is like, it's not a spirituality that you do as a job. It's not a spirituality that you do when you're meditating. It's a spirituality or a faith that is, if it's not in every part of your life, it's not in any part of your life. And I think that's how we so often kid ourselves, that we're on a spiritual path, and actually we're just playing with the trinkets and superstitions of a faith. But what you're describing is that, yes, that absolute integration of you into every breath, every moment of your life.
And the taking off of the masks, you know, that we walk around with this, you know, I'm not good enough, I can't do that, you know, like just dropping them all down and just wearing your own face, being in your own skin. And I've seen that with everyone this year, and it's just been so beautiful to witness each other in that blossoming and in that stepping into the truth of who we truly are. It's magnificent.
It truly is. Yeah, we talk a lot about borrowed limits. So, you know, they're subconscious. We don't even know that we're inhabiting somebody or a whole collective's unconscious ideas of what we are, and suddenly we throw off those borrowed limits, and it's truly magnificent. So this is a good question. I'm going to be interested. Anyone can jump in for this one. What was or what is the hardest thing about the third level for you? And, you know, obviously you got free reign. You're allowed to jump in and tell anything you want.
Oh, I'll go first. Oh,
I've been sitting on it.
It's hard work. You know, it's a commitment. And if you're going to do this, you commit 200%, and there is so much joy, you know, in doing this. But it is hard work. Reading assignments, yeah, and life in general. But I can genuinely, honestly say, it's been fantastic.
And I didn't pay her to say that, but yeah, I love that though. I think it is important to know, I mean, it is hard work, but the reward is very big.
Yes.
And that's, you know, it's a stringent program. It's, you know, my background as an academic means that I want to mainstream the intuitive sciences. I want you to be getting a qualification that really means something. And the hard work is in all ways, but yeah, you got to show up. So I think that's, yeah, it's a very good point to make. Who else wants to share what was hard?
I will.
Lisa got in before me.
Oh,
Okay,
sorry,
Lisa,
Kelly.
I'll be quiet.
Bravery is the word that keeps coming to me, and it's a complete and utter personal bravery, and it's personally standing up and looking yourself virtually in the mirror and being willing to call bullshit on yourself on a regular basis. And that's the challenge, because we tell ourselves such stories and we try to convince ourselves of so many different reasons for why we are as we are. And we have to, in the end, admit every single time it's a freaking choice. And it's our choice, and no one else can make us be that way. We can pretend, we can come up with excuses, we can play the victim, as Kelly was saying, or whatever. But in the end, it's complete and utter honesty with yourself. And if you're not being honest with yourself, the beauty of this program is RJ will call you on bullshit, or one of your sisters will. And if, you know, you try and get out of it by not telling Ricci, and so you tell a sister and you get to this stage, like, oh, that's bullshit. And you're like, yeah, you're right. Okay, where do I go from here? It's back to me and only me and my truth.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. I love it. It's spiritual leadership. You've got to be the leader of your own experience here, because if someone does it for you, and yes, I will, you know, help you see what is there. But if I do it for you, or if someone else does it for you, you come out the other end and fall over because you haven't found that spiritual steel inside of you. So I love that observation. And it does get easier. Does get
so much easier. Now it's like, and I think this is my latest description, which still rings true to me. It's like I can sit here now and see myself in the tricks or lies I'm trying to tell myself, and it's almost entertaining because you're going, watching you.
I love that. All right, Kelly, you wanted to tell us, what is the hardest thing about
Well, of course, Lisa took the words right out of my mouth. She probably put it more eloquently than what I'm going to. There's no hiding from anyone, especially yourself. Ricci will call you on your bullshit, and like what Lisa said, all the sisters will call you too. So that's probably the hardest thing, but yes, it definitely gets easier.
Yeah.
And really you're just hiding from yourself anyway, which is actually quite hysterical, because really, how are you meant to hide from yourself? So yes, that was the hardest bit. No hiding.
Yeah. Yes, and then it gets really good, and then it gets really fun.
Yes, it does. It gets good and fun. Yeah.
It's hide and seek then, but with a purpose. It's like, awesome, I found some more. Fear. And that, that is the philosophical foundation of everything you learn in the third level, which is that you are already God. The illusion that is fear is the only thing that stands between you and you being that infinite, unlimited self. So yes, we're doing a fear detox pretty much the whole time. And, this isn't, like smudge sticks and crystals and, all the lovely spiritual bling. It's actually doing the work at that deep subconscious level. And it's it is so rewarding. And then you start high-fiving yourself when you notice that you're hiding. So awesome. Thank you. Who else wants to tell us the hardest thing? Because I think this is kind of juicy and I'm enjoying hearing about it.
I definitely have to echo Lisa and Kelly that yes, getting real with yourself and being able to, just listen and admit that you need to change a level of thinking. So that definitely, but when I started, I thought that the hardest thing for me was going to be the financial commitment and making those payments. And once I surrendered, which was the next sort of thing for me, and the hardest bit for me, once I surrendered to it, it's been so easy. And now I look back at it as to where I was at the start, and I don't even see that there was any struggle. So for me, it was definitely that process of, really just getting out of my own way and knowing that I had answered the call and that I was going to be provided for. And it hasn't always happened exactly in the timing that I needed it to, but it's always happened. And that was a big one for me, coming out of a situation where I had no idea how I was going to make rent most months, let alone be able to commit to this. So the trust and the processes in which carried me through that were incredible. And now I just look back and I think, hard? It hasn't been hard at all.
Yeah. Jay Ma, thank you for sharing that, because it's what living in accordance with the law feels like. And we think that we can kid the universe, and we can't. But when we take congruent action and we line up with our truth, and the third level is not everybody's truth, but it was what your soul was calling you to do. And because that was congruent, the universe provides. And I love that you share that. And, I know that a number of women like yourself made a choice that felt like a really big financial commitment, and every single one of them has found abundance in ways that they didn't necessarily know was possible. And I don't want anyone getting into a tricky financial situation to join the program, but I also know that if this is calling you, you will find a way to provide, and it will work, because it is the law. So it's a beautiful point. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Oh, my pleasure. And just further to that as well, like the physical stuff for me, like the suffering and the illness stuff was one of the biggest things that called me into the program. But it's been the the money blocks that have melted away has been like this beautiful borrowed benefit from it. So
yeah, thank you.
And can I expand on that as well? Sorry,
yeah,
Ricci-Jane.
No, go for it. This is exciting.
Yeah, the financial thing was huge for me when I started, and I was the same. I'm like, how on earth am I going to come up with this? I think I just started a job. I hadn't been working for a few months. I had adrenal fatigue, and moving into a new house, all those big financial things. I was like, how on earth am I going to make this happen? But I trusted, and I ended up paying the course in full about 8 months before it's finished.
Yeah.
And have just been like so abundant. Like, seriously, it's like I can't even have imagined how abundant back then.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's the law.
Yeah,
it's the law.
Magic music to my ears. And I say that my success is it's evidence of what happens when you live in congruence with these laws, because when you kind of look at the time frame of the Institute on paper, it doesn't make any sense that the Institute would have grown as rapidly or done what it's done, but it is evidence of that congruence. But I love that you are speaking to the same thing, because it's much more powerful in some ways to hear you speak about it than for me to speak about it. So I really honor you for sharing that. And that the ways that our lives just start to line up. And that means that we will potentially lose things as well, but those things are the things that are meant to have gone from our life. And a lot of the women have gone through very big life changes, but this is an accelerated program, and that what it's doing is really ripping the Band-Aid off much more quickly. Does anyone else want to jump in with the hardest thing?
I just really want to back that up with what you were saying, because the thing that I had to lose facing that financial thing was my story of being the struggling single mother and that massive victimhood, and sitting there in Denmark and looking at all these women that are like, I'll do third level, and being so angry at who the hell just has that money sitting around, who the hell, and just being like, oh, it's so unfair, like I've got no money, rah, 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 rah. And then I ended up going from this belief of no money, not being able to do this, I'm refusing to even think about it, to then obviously having to say yes because it wouldn't leave me alone. And then literally, I think it was 1 month into third level, it was the end of July, and I think we started in June. It was something like that. It was just after July, I paid the entire thing off. And I remember going back to who the hell has the money to do this? Oh yeah, the ridiculous victimhood single mother. And it was really sort of the only thing I had to lose was my own sob story, was my own idea of victimhood, was myself limiting and trapping myself. And then, no joke, 3 months after that, I made even more savings. That wasn't quite the same as what this course was, but it was almost the same amount. And I just had to shut up. I just had to stop dragging this ridiculous story of being some struggling single mother of one income, of having to do everything, provide for everything, and then not being enough. It just shattered the whole entire belief. And now, coming to the end of third level, I've got savings in the bank, I've got more clients than I've ever had, and I've tried to sell like my lower packages, and they're like, no, can we have the higher one? Like, I can't sell a lower end package, it's ridiculous. I've tried, damn it. And it's throwing so much crap back in my face that I can't accept these bullshit stories anymore. They're ideas that we have and thoughts that we carry around, but our beliefs are nothing more than just a mere thought that we hold on to make excuses for ourselves to not show up and be more miraculous and magnificent than what we truly are. So when you were just saying then about what do you have to lose, your bullshit stories.
Yeah.
I really love to lose those.
Oh, darling, you just speak so powerfully and so eloquently, and I think I just bow to you, because that archetype of the single mother, the way she is represented in our world is vulnerable and fragile and weak, and you know, the single mothers that I've had in the program, you know, Cassandra Hartley's another one from the previous intake, you know, 4 kids, same deal, no income, and she graduated from the 3rd level. It's like, and it was never a question. It was just like, when that choice is made from a place of love, then you cannot fail. And I think wherever you are in your business, and every woman in the program's at a different level, you have the capacity to go further. Some of the women are literally just creating a business, and some have really well-established businesses, but everybody has that potential to make an exponential leap in all ways. And I think that is, you know, it may not look like a business program, but you can't fail when you meet your fear. Everything's going to go abundantly, you know, overwhelmingly in the direction that you want it to. So thank you. That's such a beautiful illustration of that. All right. So any last comments on the hardest thing before we get into, well, we're going to open the floor, but any last comments?
Do you mind if I say something, Ricci, without switching on my
absolutely.
video? I'm in bed in my pajamas and wasn't expecting to speak. I guess the hardest aspect for me was I had such huge expectations of myself coming into the 3rd level around my business, and using my intuition, which I'd already been doing in my business for quite a while. And I think the biggest challenge for me was really understanding the enormity of my ego and my attachment to my path versus God's path and God's will, and letting go of control. And as we started the 3rd level, you kept saying, you know, let everything go, surrender to the process, don't try and create anything. And I'm like, yeah, I know, but you know, I had this program running as the way I wanted things to go. So the 3rd level for me ended up being completely different to what I think I actually went into it initially, thinking it was predominantly for my business.
Yeah.
Where it's actually been stripping away the layers and wrestling with my ginormous ego to bring me to a place of stillness. So I think the hardest aspect for me was really the surrender to God's will.
You're breaking up a little bit, honey. I just heard to bring you to a place of, and then it broke up. So now we're all like, where did it bring you?
It brought me to a place of surrender to God's will.
Yeah.
And to trust that I am God, not who I think I should be or need to be. And I think the other thing I observed as well was that a lot of the women that are called into the 3rd level also experience some sort of hardship during the 3rd level. Not all, but some. And it seems that some of us are placed there just to be held as well. So there's so many layers in this process.
Yes, absolutely, my darling, and absolute J-Ma to everything you're saying, and your courage and your masterfulness. And I keep reminding Katie that the dissembling, the shamanic death that she's going through is evidence of her power, not evidence of her failure. And that is so difficult for us to understand from the human perspective, because we think that things are supposed to look a certain way in order to equate to success, but you're being prepared for your power, to be able to embody your power in a way that will, you know, blow out all of your expectations, all of your little human expectations. But yeah, so much fierceness in you. And you know, I agree. I think it is an accelerated awakening program. So if there's any place of illusion in your life, in your relationships, in your work, in your relationship with yourself, the light will be shone on that, and you can fight it, you know, and you can argue with me. I think a few people have argued with me, and you know, some days you'll love me and some days you'll hate me, but that's okay, because it's none of my business. And you know, my job is just to keep reminding you of who you are, and I will not rest until you see what I see. And I'm very excited that surrender now is allowing that to happen. So thank you. I want to ask for any of our prospective priestesses who are with us, if you do have a question for the gathered sisters here. I do have one final question, but I would like to sort of open it up in case anyone would like to ask anything of anybody. You can just open it to the floor, or you might have a specific priestess you'd like to ask, and you may not have any questions. So
can I ask a question, Ricci, please?
Yes, please, my darling.
I was sold on the course. I do have a big money block that I have to try and work through to actually to do it. But one thing that I'm struggling with is that I'm up to level week 6 in the initiate program, and my saboteur come in, and I haven't done anything else. And so that's that's a concern to me. Do I spend money I haven't actually got on something when I can't finish this one? I am I have in the past been someone who doesn't finish things, so I don't know if it's that. It is difficult for me to do online courses and keep my brain engaged and motivated. So I suppose what my question is it the same? Like, will I be having to push myself every week to do something, or is it a little bit of a different structure?
And just to let you know, whoever wants to respond, Tanya's part of the initiate program now. So a lot of the women would have done the 2-day version of the program you're doing now. But yeah, I'd love for anyone who wants to jump in and respond to Tanya.
Tanya, sorry, go Gita.
Go on.
Tanya, I would say that this program is different predominantly because of the sisterhood that holds you and that you connect in with on a weekly basis, and more often if you wish to. Everyone is there. The mentoring and support you get from both Ricci and the graduates who come in as mentors, all of that supports you in such a way that you don't fall off like you do with a lot of online programs, because it truly is week by week you're supported, and there's no kind of hiding from the program because you need to turn up sort of regularly. So if you're hiding from the program, you learn very quickly that you're hiding from yourself, and it doesn't take long for you not to want to do that. And I think that's what's most important to understand, is that this program changes all the stuff that stopped you within you, that has stopped you from finishing programs before, because I was a program non-finisher as well.
I finished my degree just so I wasn't having something else that was half. I pushed through.
But what I say, Tanya, with this program is that the reason why this one I have completed, I believe, is because my soul knows I have to. And that is more powerful a driver than anything that I could intellectually have convinced myself with any of the other programs. There is no choice for me but to finish this program.
Yeah. Gita, did you want to add anything, my darling?
Yes, I do. I actually echo everything Lisa has said about the sisterhood, the support, which is actually very important, because, you know, there are days when you sort of think, God, I've made a mistake, but, you know, and then you come through it. And as Lisa has said, it's your soul's calling. You know within you yourself about the commitment and the commitment that you're willing to give. I will say to you, I was never an online course person, but I actually did a postgraduate degree with QUT online for 2 years, and I was amazed. And, you know, and if I can do it and focus on it, you know, anyone else can. And I had the same concerns about this as well. You know, will I keep it up? Will I do it? Will I give up? And there were a couple of times I almost did give up. But, you know, the support of the sisters, Ricci, you know, you kind of come back to yourself, because, you know, the answers are within you. And yeah, and Tanya, I'm sure you'll find that yourself.
Yeah. And Tanya, I just want to add to that, they're beautiful responses, and thank you. It is a program where you have to be self-motivated. There is no question. You have to want to be here, because as soon as you meet your fear, if you don't want to be here, the fear is going to give you every excuse to drop out. And I have to tell you, so 33 women started this round, and we are now at 25. And I am not surprised, because some people will not be ready to take the offer. But it will not be the women who you think are not the ones, you know, the women who you might have gone at the beginning. If we've had a bit of comparisonitis, some of the sisters might have thought, oh my God, she's so shiny and bright and she's doing amazing things and people are buying her programs. And you look around now, it's like, well, where did she go? The women who complete this program are the ones who are willing to hold nothing back from God. And that is everything to me. And I don't care if I end this program with 2 women out of 33. It won't happen. I'm not letting them go anywhere. But it's okay, you know, those women who left the program, it was completely okay for me to see them go. And it's, once again, it's none of my business. But if you know you're coming into this program because your soul is ready to meet itself, you can, all you have to do is ask for support, and the support will be there. It's overcoming that desire to withdraw, and that's why you have an accountability sister. That's why you have small group mentoring. That's why you have daily practices. You know, at every level you're going to be held, and you know, to kind of back out of it is really, really hard. You know, it is possible, and women have done it, but it isn't, you know, you have to really fight yourself to do that. I can just see some questions in the chat box. So Genevieve says, do the graduated priestesses use the method in their business? Yeah, so this group here are mostly not quite yet graduated, but the women who have previously completed the training are all, as far as I know, the ones who are working in this way are using the method. I want to say the beauty of the method is it's not like going to learn Reiki. It's not like going to learn some other modality. The method invites you to take it and break it. So in other words, take the tools of the intuitive guide. There are 9 domains of the intuitive guide. There is a method, which is your initial evaluation, energetic evaluation. But whatever you have already done, bring it in and create new forms out of it, and then come back and show me so that we can continue the conversation together. And that's why we have the Intuitive Intelligence Symposium. The first one's happening in Tuscany in September this year, because we are committed to research and spiritual innovation. I do not want this to be a fixed modality that you learn and then, you know, I never want you to tell me about your modality. I say this all the time. It's like, do not tell me what you've trained in. I do not care. I want to know how you will change my life. And what you gain from this training is a set of tools, a way to use them, but nothing is prescriptive. So if you come back to me and you say, oh my God, I've had this idea and I'm going to bring this in here and I'm going to do this. And as long as you're not running around claiming that you're going to heal people, which is the one thing I will not let anybody do, because we don't heal anything, because nothing is broken, then you pretty much have that you, by the time you get to the end of the year, my blessing is, please take this further than I have taken it. Please show me what else is possible. And that's my measure of success, is how many of these women are going to bring more energy to what we create. Okay, so yes, I think
Ricci,
yes, go ahead.
Ricci, can I just answer, because I can't type because I'm sitting in the car on my phone because I'm supposed to be at a Tupperware party. Anyway, Bronte asked about the time commitment, and what I really want to share is that the time commitment to me has actually been more about being true to myself in every way possible in every day, and the time becomes you're living it more and more every day. And as you do so, suddenly you find that the only thing you want to do with your time is actually related to the course. And so instead of it being something you have to, you know, to begin with, you might map time out, but what ends up happening is, in actual fact, all the reading you do, any writing you do, everything you do ends up being about what you're learning and what you're creating, because it is you, because it's your soul becoming its fullest self.
Yeah, I love that, Lisa. And I love, you know, that is the whole point of this program, is that it is not separate from you. But one of the beautiful things that I've noticed happening with the 2018 group is we have a lot of women who are already, you know, on the entrepreneurial path. they turn every assignment into a live. They turn everything that they have to hand in for an assessment into content for their social media. They're using that already pre-existing platform, and they're taking the work that they're doing on their assessments, and they're making it work to their advantage. So it's not like they've lost time away from their business. They're growing their business. I mean, Sinead Carey went live doing the 11-minute Kundalini yoga meditation with her tribe. I was like, where the hell did that come from? But I love it, because it's like, well, if you're going to spend the time learning about the science of intuition, developing all these amazing skills, you can start using those tools from the very beginning. You don't have to wait till the end. The only thing you have to wait till the end to do is to get your, to call yourself an intuitive guide officially. So I'm just making sure I'm keeping up with the questions. I love that response. All of Barbara's questions have been answered. Beautiful. Spiritual crack. It is spiritual crack. Also, you have to understand as well, Bronte, that every woman in this program is pretty much a mother, or works full time, or has man babies, or, that's not loving, but you know what I mean. There are demands on our time, because we are the priestess, okay? And here's the difference between the priestess and the goddess. The priestess is in the world. She's cooking the dinner. She's making the babies. She's changing reality, consciousness engineering, whilst she's, making some stew. Not me, I don't cook anymore, but there's women I hear who cook. Bree Jones, who's coming on retreat next week, has prepared all the meals and frozen them for her entire family before she goes away. That's a level of love that I do not possess. But we are in the world. We are the mystics without walls. And if we were using this course as a way to avoid reality, then we would be completely missing the point. As Lisa said, everything we're doing is about integrating our spirituality into our mundane, domestic, ordinary reality to raise or elevate everything to that God consciousness. So there's no one in this program who isn't busy. If we all got to be mystics, we'd all just be, sitting in our cave in the snow meditating, but none of us have that privilege. We are running the world, that's what we're doing. And I think that's so important to keep in mind. There's also no one who's going to fail you if you don't get your assignment in on time. Don't tell anyone that. I will always make sure that you get what you need to succeed. It's not designed to be punitive. The timeframes are designed to support you to succeed. I'm just checking the chat box. Oh my goodness, Barbara, can I share that? She's manifested almost 3K in the last week since our call, because she said, I really want to do it, don't have the money yet. $3,000 in 7 days. Booyah. Tanya says, I'm gluten-free and vegan. Can I eat on the retreat? No eating for you. Yes, one of the delicious and delightful things about being in Ubud is that most of the food is vegan and gluten-free. That's just the way the Balinese eat, but all food intolerances can be accommodated. Absolutely. There's no problem with that. We will make sure that everyone gets to eat. Let me look at my chat box again. My husband calls me out now. Kelly says he has changed too. Absolutely. It just works. Beck says the flow, ease and grace just becomes your way of being. Yes. Is there business tweaking helping? Yes. And it's one of my favorite things to do in the whole wide world. So yes, so you get a module, you get 2 modules on that. So spiritual, so basically everything I've done to build the Institute. And then you get time with Laura, who is just rub her belly, don't really, because she won't like that, but energetically, and you'll make money. That woman is the reason I think the Institute is so much financial success. So you get incredible training in that way, but you also get the support of one another. So you're all coming in at different levels of entrepreneurial, path making, and we can create that community together. So there is, there's support to be had. At the moment in the 2018 group, one of the women is just setting up her business for the very first time, and she just put a call out for help, and like 10 women jumped in and said, let me tell you what I can tell you of my experience. Spiritual crack, yes. Are there one-on-one sessions? No, not anymore. So effectively from 2018, you don't have one-on-one sessions with me, and that's why we have the postgrad mentors, because it's simply not possible for me to spend that time. The way that we changed that was that the fortnightly mentoring calls are with me. So previously they were with the postgrad priestesses, now they're with me. So there's 2 small groups per fortnight, so you can attend one or you can attend both, so you can have 2 to 3 hours with me each fortnight, and there's a maximum intake of 20 priestesses per round, and so that means that you're in a small group setting with me, you know, on a regular basis. Can't wait for Ubud, me either. I am so on a plane on Monday. Let me just have a look. And presence with women on the same journey, but the man, baby and kidlets are hijacking and making me holiday in Bali with them 1 week prior. That's all right. You can, I was trying to get my family to come. My husband's like, I don't like Bali. So I've had to organise the postgraduate diploma in spiritual directorship will be in Hawaii, just so I can get him to come on holiday with me. But yes, I think that's lovely. And that's, you know, that is the flexibility. You can bring your family along. You can put them in a resort down the road if you want that. Some people don't want to hang out with their families on retreat. Okay, so we are almost at time. We'll do our speed lightning round. Any of the priestesses here in 10 words or less, the best thing about the 3rd level. Go. Blow me away.
Sisterhood, love.
That's it. I love it.
Well, I'm giving everyone a chance.
Freedom, love, and joy. Fucking joy. Oops, sorry.
Bliss, harmony, and peace.
Say that again, Beck.
Bliss, harmony, and peace.
Woohoo!
Knowing yourself as God.
Yay! Yay! That's my poster girl right there. Anyone else?
Meeting
Joy,
yourself.
happiness, and freedom. Sorry, Shana.
Sorry, that's okay. I was going to say meeting yourself where you're standing.
Yay, beautiful. Gabrielle?
I'd have to say freedom, and well, with this structure of the program for us, lots and lots of holidays. Lots of weekends away.
Yes, that's been great. Yeah.
Anybody else?
For me, it's the
Yeah, I
love
should say
and
believing in your. Oh, there you go, Sam.
Verity and then Eileen.
I think just believing in your own self-worth and trusting in that magnificence within. Like, it's just powerful.
Yeah.
and
I
for me, it's like
agree.
the getting and the ability now to learn to do know how to just get out of your own way and just go, nah, forget about it, and just go forward and do what you, just not because you know, and having that faith in yourself to do what you need to do.
Yeah. Eileen, your face didn't appear. I'm trying to find you because we got frozen for a moment, but your words are so beautiful. Does anybody else want to jump in?
Expansion.
I'm sorry, even my photo isn't showing up, but this is Sam.
Hello,
hello, beautiful. For me so far, it is more peace, more grace, more contentment, just more of that knowledge that I am God and God is me, and that we are all one, and it impacts my everyday of, who I interact with and how I interact with the Uber driver who didn't want to take my service dog in his car today. Instead of getting cranky with him, my reaction was very different, and I could give you so many examples like that.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
And I haven't been in the program for all that long, and I've been a bit flaky with it because of my health, but it's just made such an impact on my day-to-day life already. I just can't wait. I just cannot wait to see what the next, I don't know, 6-7 months brings. It's just absolutely incredible, and just knowing my magnificence and that I am God and I am holy. And I finally, it's been something that somebody said to me when I was about 12 years old. They said, Sam, you need to get comfortable in your own skin. And I just turned 47 about 10 days ago, and it's a few months ago is when I finally got comfortable in my own skin, and that is priceless.
Yes, J-Ma, and thank you. And Sam is one of our 2018 priestesses, so I love that you're sharing your experience at the beginning of term 2, that you've already had that. We've got Belinda saying, trust in myself, friendship. I feel like this is like telethon. If you didn't grow up in Perth, you may not know what it's like. We're getting the bids. Open-hearted living and expansion, says Shana. Yes, the friendship and the love. And Verity says, yes, oh, the joyous friendship. And I could not agree more. I think when I created this program, I had no idea what the sisterhood would be, because to be perfectly honest, I'd never experienced it. I'd never had a spiritual sisterhood. I was alone in my spirituality, which actually was quite okay for me. But suddenly this program created this unexpected element, and I would say that probably it is now, if not, one of the most highly valued aspect of it, because you do need to be scaffolded and supported, and it can't just always be by one person. It is, my job is to create spiritual leaders, which means you have to see yourself as the person who can support as well as be supported. And right from the beginning that happens, and I honor each and every one of you for your courage. Christina says, can July be here now? Yes, I agree. Christina is the recipient of the scholarship for the July 2018 intake, and she is in the US. I can't remember where exactly in the US, and so I'm very excited. Our program is going global, and it's a very exciting thing. Seattle. All right. Is there anything else anybody wants to finish with? I think we're almost done. Oh, Teresa says it's the only face-to-face in Bali. Yes, so the only time that we're actually physically in a room together is in Bali. But I also want you to keep in mind that this will not feel as though we're not in the same room together. And I think all of the women here can attest to that. If you live nearby to women who are also in the program, then we absolutely encourage you to get together and spend time together. But you will not feel as though you're physically separated. And it's a very powerful aspect of the program. So thank you to everyone for joining us this evening. And thank you to all of you who are already my beloved priestesses, who have taken time out of your life to share your experience. My heart just feels so full. I don't feel like I'm on a juice fast at all. I feel like I could go out dancing all night. I won't do that. I'm going to go lie down. But I honor you, 2017, 2018, and our prospective priestesses. Thank you for being here. Don't forget, you do have a credit for $895. Just mention that to Gemma. And if you haven't booked your interview, I have opened up some spaces next week when I am in Mama Bali. If you would like to book in your interview, then please do so, because, yeah, the last date's May 15, and I think we've only got 1 or 2 interviews left. Because I'm away on retreat from next week, there'll be some times available next week, but we're very close to capacity. We've almost got our 20 priestesses, so if you are considering it, please don't delay. All right, I just want to, if you can stay with me for a moment, let's just end our time together with some shared heart coherence. And if you do need to go, I completely understand, but you know, this is the work. This is how we really change the world. So I'm going to invite you now to close down your eyes. Take a deep breath in through the nose. Let it go out through the mouth with an audible sigh. Just letting go of any fear. You don't need to know what that fear is. Just let it fall away. As you deepen your breath with your eyes closed, you immediately start moving down out of the cranial brain into that little heart, that little brain in the heart, and the Anahata chakra. The anatomical heart and the metaphysical heart, creating the largest electromagnetic field of any part of your body. And with every fully conscious breath, you expand that field. We are fields within fields within fields, and you expand yourself with every breath into that infinite cosmos. And notice that in this group energy, you immediately feel that sense of elevation effortlessly, without having to engage the mind at all. Your vibration is raised to that state of grace, easeful, effortless grace. And feel your electromagnetic field expanding to meet all of the sisters gathered here tonight. There is no time and space. And with every breath, we form one heart. Letting yourself be raised up. And we dedicate this practice tonight to the liberation of all women who do not yet know that they are the priestess. All women who have not been shown their gloriousness. And we know that every time we choose to embody that, we liberate more and more women to know the same. Service is an inside job. And taking your hands into Anjali Mudra, prayer position over your heart, and bowing your head to your own glorious self. And to every woman who is here this evening and those who will listen back later, I honor you and I see you. And I love you more than you can know. And so it is. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Any opportunity to hang out with you lot. And any questions that I didn't get to tonight, of course, please add them, you can send them to me on Messenger, you can add them to the Institute page, or you can reach out to any of the women that you know here in this group who are part of the program. I'm sure they'll be more than happy to share their experience with you. And yeah, I'm full of gratitude. Mwah. Have a beautiful evening, morning, day, wherever you are. See you very soon.